Have you ever wondered, do you really need friends after 70? That question might sound shocking, maybe even a little unsettling. After all, we've been told our whole lives that friendships are essential for happiness. But what if that's not entirely true? What if letting go of certain friendships could actually make your life simpler, freer, and more fulfilling? Today, I'm going to reveal 6 powerful reasons why embracing independence could be the key to a happier life after 70. And here's the twist. Reason number 4 might completely change the way you think about loneliness. Stay with me until the end, because this could be the most important shift in your mindset as you step into your best years yet. You no longer need to prove yourself to anyone. For most of your life, you've been playing a game, one that society expects you to play. Think about it. From a young age, you were taught that in order to be respected, valued, and accepted, you had to constantly prove your worth. You worked hard to build a career. You maintained friendships to fit in. You dressed a certain way, spoke carefully, and played by the rules. You spent decades making sure that others saw you as capable, successful, and likable. But here's the truth, no one tells you. There comes a time in life when you simply don't have to play this game anymore. At 70 and beyond, you've already lived your life, built your legacy, and overcome challenges. You don't need to seek approval or prove your value to anyone. The story of Harold, a life spent chasing approval. Let me introduce you to Harold, a man who spent 40 years climbing the corporate ladder. He attended networking events, shaking hands and making small talk. He maintained friendships with colleagues, always making sure to be on good terms. He dressed in expensive suits, drove a luxury car, and made sure he looked the part of a successful man. On the surface, he had it all: a respected career, a wide social circle, and a reputation as someone important. But then, retirement came. And suddenly, everything changed. The work calls stopped. The invitations disappeared. The friendships that once seemed solid faded overnight. At first, Harold felt lost. He wondered, should I reach out? Should I try to keep these friendships alive? But then he had a powerful realization. Most of those relationships weren't real. They were built on convenience, shared work goals, and status, not on genuine connection. So, Harold made a decision. Instead of chasing old friendships, he chose to embrace his independence. He dusted off his old fishing gear and spent mornings by the lake. He started gardening, enjoying the simple pleasure of watching things grow. He woke up each day with no pressure to impress anyone. And for the first time in decades, Harold felt something he hadn't felt before: true freedom. Why this matters for you. So now let me ask you, are you holding on to friendships because they truly bring you joy, or because you feel like you should? Because here's the thing, you don't need a big social circle to validate who you are. At this stage in life, you've already proven yourself. You don't need to attend events just to be seen. You don't need to maintain friendships that drain you. You don't need to seek approval from people who don't truly care. You have earned the right to live for yourself. And that, more than anything else, is what true freedom looks like. Choose peace over forced social gatherings. 2 very different weekends. Which one would you choose? Scenario 1. It's Saturday morning, and your phone is already ringing. There's a lunch invitation from an old friend you haven't seen in years. But do you really want to spend hours catching up on small talk? Later in the afternoon, there's a family gathering where you'll sit through conversations that feel repetitive and draining. By evening, another phone call. Someone needing a favor. Someone wanting to vent. Someone expecting your time. By the end of the day, you feel mentally exhausted, emotionally drained, and secretly wishing you had just stayed home. Now, imagine this instead. Scenario 2. You wake up on a quiet Saturday morning. There's no pressure, no obligations, no forced conversations. You make yourself a warm cup of coffee, Sit in your favorite chair and open a book you've been meaning to read. You listen to the birds outside, take a deep breath, and simply enjoy the stillness. The whole day stretches ahead of you, and for once, it's yours to spend however you want. Which version of the weekend feels better to you? Why your priorities shift with age. When we're young, we're taught that being social is the key to happiness. We fill our schedules with meetups, parties, and endless conversations. We maintain relationships, sometimes even when they feel one-sided or draining. We say yes to things because we feel like we should, not because we want to. But as we grow older, something shifts. We start to realize that peace is far more valuable than unnecessary socializing. It's not about cutting people off. It's about choosing what truly nourishes your soul. The freedom to say no. Margaret, a 74-year-old widow, used to fill her calendar with social events. She thought staying busy would keep loneliness away. But over time, she noticed something. Many of these gatherings felt like obligations, not joys. The conversations were repetitive, filled with gossip and old stories she had heard 1,000 times. She often left these meetups feeling drained instead of fulfilled. One day, she asked herself, what if I stopped saying yes out of guilt? What if I only spent time with people who truly lifted me up? So she made a simple yet life-changing decision. She stopped forcing herself to attend gatherings that didn't bring her peace. She chose quiet walks over noisy coffee dates. She chose books over draining conversations. She chose herself over social pressure. And guess what? She didn't feel lonely. She felt liberated. Peace isn't loneliness, it's freedom. Many people fear that if they stop socializing, they'll become isolated. But the truth is, peace and loneliness are not the same. Loneliness is being surrounded by people who don't truly understand you. Peace is choosing to be with yourself and feeling completely content. Now, it's your turn to decide. Will you continue filling your time with social obligations that drain you? Or will you embrace the freedom of choosing peace? Because after 70, your time belongs to you. Protect your time, your most valuable asset. Time feels different as you age. When you were young, time felt infinite. You always thought there would be another day to catch up with friends. You always had another weekend to visit family. You always assumed there would be plenty of time to do the things you wanted. And so, you didn't think twice about giving away your time. You filled your days with work, responsibilities, and social events, sometimes out of obligation, sometimes out of habit. You said yes to everything because, back then, it felt like there was no limit to how much time you had left. But now, after 70, something changes. You begin to see time differently. You realize that time is no longer something to waste. It's something to protect. Every hour, every moment becomes more precious than it ever was before. You finally understand that time isn't unlimited. So, why should you let other people decide how you spend it? And yet, so many people continue to give their time away freely. They say yes to invitations they don't enjoy. They answer calls that drain them. They fill their calendars with things they feel obligated to do, not things they truly want to do. But here's the truth. You don't have to live like that anymore. Your time is yours, and it's time to start treating it that way. The story of Richard, always busy, but never fulfilled. Richard was always on the go. Even after retirement, he couldn't shake the habit of keeping himself busy. He filled his days with lunches, phone calls, and meetings. He kept saying yes to social invitations, even when he didn't feel like going. He told himself that staying busy meant staying happy. But deep down, something felt off. One day, as he sat at a crowded dinner party, listening to yet another repetitive conversation, he had a sudden realization. Why am I doing this? Am I actually enjoying my time? Or am I just afraid of slowing down? That night, instead of filling his schedule with more plans, Richard did something different. He woke up the next morning, made a cup of coffee, and sat on his porch, just watching the sunrise. And for the first time in years, he allowed himself to do nothing. And in that moment, he realized peace was more fulfilling than noise. Silence was more valuable than small talk. Protecting his time gave him the freedom he had been missing all along. What about you? How often do you say yes to things you don't actually enjoy? How often do you fill your time with obligations instead of things that truly bring you joy? If you've ever come home from a gathering feeling exhausted instead of fulfilled, it might be time to ask yourself, who am I really spending my time for? Me or everyone else? Because here's the truth. You don't owe anyone your time. You don't have to waste it on things that no longer serve you. You have earned the right to choose how you spend your days. And once you start protecting your time, something incredible happens. You stop feeling rushed. You stop feeling obligated. You start feeling free. Because life doesn't get smaller when you slow down. It actually becomes deeper. So the real question is, how will you choose to protect your time from now on? The most important companionship is with yourself. What society tells us versus what's actually true. For most of your life, you've been told that the more friends you have, the happier you'll be. Stay social. Keep your calendar full. Being alone is lonely. You need people around you. If you don't have a big group of friends, something is missing from your life. But is that really true? Because as you get older, you start to notice something. Some friendships fade. Some people only reach out when they need something. Some conversations feel more like obligations than real connections. And then one day, you ask yourself, if I have all these people around me, why do I still feel drained? Here's a truth that no one tells you. Happiness isn't about how many people surround you. It's about how at peace you feel with yourself. The most important companionship you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. The story of Eleanor, from fear to freedom. Eleanor, a 76-year-old widow, used to believe that being alone meant being lonely. For years, she filled her days with phone calls with old friends, even when she didn't feel like talking, lunches and gatherings, just to keep up appearances, checking in on others constantly, even though no one ever checked in on her. She thought this was the way to stay happy. But the truth? She often felt exhausted. She realized that many of her friendships had become habits, not real connections. And one day, after yet another conversation that left her feeling empty, she asked herself, what if I stopped trying to fill my time with people and started spending time with myself instead? So, she did something that scared her at first. She embraced her own company. She started taking herself on morning walks, noticing the beauty of the world around her. She sat in a cafe with a book instead of a conversation and realized she actually preferred it. She picked up an old hobby she had abandoned years ago, painting, just for the joy of it. And you know what happened? For the first time in her life, she felt truly content. She realized that being alone didn't mean being lonely. It meant freedom. What this means for you. So, now it's time to ask yourself, are you surrounding yourself with people because they genuinely bring you happiness? Or just because you're afraid of being alone? Do your friendships feel meaningful and fulfilling? Or do they feel like something you have to maintain? When was the last time you spent time just with yourself and actually enjoyed it? Because here's the truth. You don't need a room full of people to feel whole. You don't need constant socializing to feel happy. You don't need to prove your worth through the number of friends you have. The best friendship, the one that will never fade, never disappoint, and never leave, is the one you build with yourself. Loneliness versus solitude. Knowing the difference. Many people confuse being alone with being lonely, but they are not the same thing. Loneliness is feeling empty, even when people are around. Solitude is feeling at peace, even when you're by yourself. The difference? Loneliness is an absence of connection with yourself. Solitude is the presence of inner peace. And once you understand this, everything changes. Your life, your choice. You've spent decades giving to others, caring for others, showing up for others. Now, maybe it's time to show up for yourself. Spend time doing what makes you happy. Learn to enjoy your own company. Stop thinking that you need a full social calendar to feel fulfilled. Because when you stop searching for happiness in others, you find it within yourself. And that, more than anything else, is what true peace looks like. Letting go opens the door to a happier life. Life is like a garden. What's growing in yours? Imagine your life as a garden. Some relationships are like beautiful flowers. They bring color, joy, and meaning to your life. Others, however, have turned into weeds, taking up space, depleting your energy, and preventing new growth. Now, think about your current relationships. Are you still watering dead plants, hoping they'll bloom again? Are you keeping friendships alive out of habit, rather than real connection? Is your garden full of life, or is it overcrowded with things that no longer serve you? The truth is, not every relationship is meant to last forever. And sometimes, the healthiest thing you can do is let go. But letting go isn't always easy. Is it? There's fear, guilt, and the nagging question, what if I regret this? Let's talk about how one woman made this difficult choice and how it transformed her life. Margaret's story, before letting go. Margaret was a social butterfly for most of her life. She was the kind of person who never missed a birthday, never ignored a phone call, and always said yes to every invitation. Her calendar was always full. Luncheons, group meetups, family gatherings, coffee dates. She believed that staying busy meant staying connected. But as time passed, she started to notice something. Some friendships felt one-sided. She was always reaching out, but they rarely checked in on her. Some gatherings left her drained, rather than uplifted. Some conversations were filled with gossip, complaints, or negativity. Yet, she kept going. She told herself, "These are my friends, my family. I can't just walk away." But deep down, she felt something she didn't want to admit. She felt exhausted. Her once joyful social life had turned into a series of obligations, a list of things she felt she had to do, rather than wanted to do. Until one day, something changed. The moment everything shifted. One afternoon, Margaret was sitting at a lunch gathering, listening to the same conversations she had heard 100 times before. Someone was complaining about their children. Someone else was gossiping about an old neighbor. Another friend was once again talking about their problems, but never asking how Margaret was doing. And for the first time, she had a thought she had never allowed herself to consider before. Why am I here? Am I actually enjoying this? That thought terrified her, because it meant acknowledging that maybe, just maybe, it was time to let go. Margaret's story, after letting go. So she made a choice. She stopped saying yes out of guilt. She prioritized peace over obligation. She allowed herself to let go of relationships that no longer served her. At first, it felt strange. She worried, will people think I'm selfish? She felt guilty for turning down invitations. She wondered if she would end up feeling lonely. But something unexpected happened. She started enjoying her own company. She spent mornings drinking coffee, listening to the birds instead of answering her phone. She reconnected with old passions, painting, gardening, reading. She found that the friends who truly valued her were still there, and the ones who disappeared weren't really friends at all. And one day, as she sat in her backyard watching the sunset, she realized she had never felt more free. What about you? Look around at your own life. Are you holding on to relationships that feel more like a burden than a blessing? Are you spending time with people who truly make you happy? or just because you feel like you should? Is your garden thriving, or is it overgrown with things that no longer bring you joy? If something no longer serves you, it's okay to let it go. Because here's what happens when you do. You create space for relationships that truly matter. You free yourself from unnecessary stress and expectations. You finally start living on your own terms. Letting go isn't about loss. It's about making room for something better. So today, I ask you, what will you choose to keep? And what will you finally let go of? Now that we've explored why letting go can lead to a happier life, it's time for you to ask yourself, are you still holding on to relationships that drain you? Are you spending time with people out of habit rather than genuine connection? Are you truly choosing happiness or just avoiding change? Because the truth is, you deserve peace. You deserve freedom. You deserve to spend your time with people who uplift you, not drain you. Share your thoughts. So now, I want to hear from you. What's one thing from this video that resonated with you the most? Have you ever let go of a friendship that no longer felt right? Are you ready to start choosing peace over obligation? Or are you still struggling with the idea of releasing certain relationships? Comment below and share your thoughts. Your perspective might inspire someone else on this journey. Support this community. If this video helped you see things in a new light, don't forget to hit the like button. It helps spread this message to more people. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss another life-changing lesson. Turn on notifications because your best years are still ahead, and I want to help you make the most of them. Your happiness is in your hands. The choice is yours. Will you choose to hold on, or will you set yourself free? I'll see you in the next video.